All right, it's Coach Kyle, Carolina Pickleball Club. I'm going to do a little post-mortem video analysis here from our Play and Learn clinic this past Saturday. We had 6 players. So on this court, it's myself, Shelly Airy, Andy Jones, and Leah Babsey. And we're going to go through several clips and just talk through, narrate this, and just talk about some things that we can learn from. All right, so quite a bit to unpack here. I'm going to play this through and I'm just going to pause and talk through some notable sections. Okay, so first off, Andy drifted in quite a bit after the serve. So I always want my players to have some type of recovery footwork for their serve. Generally speaking, that's going to be a right-left footwork pattern. So as a right-handed player, you're going to pivot on your left, you're going to swing your right hip in the court, and you're going to land on your right foot. And then you're going to push off that right foot and then get behind the baseline. But in this case, he's kind of stuck here in the court. So if I return very deep cross court, Andy would be in a little bit of trouble handling this. But instead, I went for the safe route, went down the middle. Leah's going to slide over here, take this with her backhand. Shelly's going to put it down. Andy's going to pop it back up, and then here's the short ball. Okay, so we're going to take a look at right before contact, what's going to happen here. So as you can see, Andy is leading Leah in, which I like because it's a short ball. It's assumed that we're going to hit this and move in. But I always like when you drop the ball in front of your partner that is leading you in. And the reason is we're in a stagger formation, which is good. I like that. But if you drop in front of you, then you create the reverse stagger. So if you drop cross court, you keep the ball over here, then anything cross court, the stagger player is going to cover, and then the up player is going to be the aggressive player. But what happens is if you go in front, then it creates the reverse stagger, and there's going to be a very easy opening right down the middle, and Andy didn't have enough time to slide over once he figured out that I've got the ball. So a few things to learn there. Recovery footwork on the serve. Drop the ball in front of the player that's leading. It's going to give you the best option to be aggressive and also defend the cross court. All right, let's go on to the next clip. What I did, you can see these clips. This is a 12-second clip. And I have put some narration in description so I know what it is. All right, basically just highlighting a couple things here. One is I like to think of a pickleball match as a series of questions. I'm going to ask my opponent some questions. One of the first questions I'm going to ask them is, hey, can you handle a slice return of serve? And if I find out the answer to that question is no, then I'm probably going to give them a lot of slice returns. So in this case, I think this was probably going to be Andy's ball. If you watch this ball and you notice right at contact, you can see right here, my swing path is going to be across my body. Notice how I'm going from left to right across my body. That means the ball is going to spin this way. So anything that's coming anywhere near this center line is going to kick this way. So it's going to be best handled by the player on the right. So Andy should have been a little bit more ready to take this. I think Leah sensed that he's not ready, so she had to slide over, and that's ultimately why she made the error, because she didn't have her feet set correctly. But I think that would be the player on the right's ball, because it's just going to spin in that direction. All right, let's go to the next clip. AJ with the angle. Okay, let's take a look at this. Ooh, okay, just wanted to highlight a great shot. Give Andy his due. Yeah, I thought this ball was going out, but clearly I made a mistake by letting it go because it landed well in. That's a nice shot. All right. Let's find the next clip. Okay. Leah, kitchen footwork, follow the drop in and be ready. All right, let's take a look and see what my cryptic message meant. All right, we're going to watch this through. Serve, return, drop, speed up. All right, let's watch it through one more time. All right. So Shelly does a pretty good job of getting up to the line and gets set before the ball crosses the net. That's always kind of the metric that I'm looking at to see how well the returner is getting up to the line. I want to make sure that they get to the line, they split, they're on balance before the ball crosses the net. All right, Shelly speeding up at Andy. He's able to defend it. I'm doing a little misdirect here back at Leah. She handles it pretty well. And this is what I meant by footwork. All right. So if you see, she's a little bit off this line. Okay. And then you watch this, she just kind of set her feet. It's the next ball. This one here. See how she's reaching here? So one more step forward, that ball would have been a little bit higher. But because it's dropping and she's reaching, that's why the ball goes into the net. So when we establish ourselves at the line, go ahead and get up here. That way we can reach in, and balls that are dropping, you're going to take them a little bit higher on the apex. All right, so Andy Jones, short return, intention usually does not work very well. Okay, this happened a couple times. I'm just going to play it through and we're going to see what happens. I remember this happening a few times in the match. All right, so it looks like Andy is purposefully trying to bring Leah forward. And I noticed that because just the very short follow through, if you watch this, I'm just going to play it through. Notice how it's just a little push. It's almost like a little drop shot just to see, oh, is this gonna trick them? But no, in fact, it basically gives us a green light to move forward and start becoming offensive and be able to keep the ball down. So normally those short returns don't work very well. It'd be much better to send it deep, higher. That way it gives you some time to get up to the net. All right, let's go here. So Shelly, technical dropping of the paddle too much. This is something that we were working on in a class today. And I noticed this a couple times where the paddle tip was just not in the best position here. Like here, oops, let me back up. So what we would like to do is, as we're receiving the ball in the forehand, we want to turn our chest on this 45-degree angle. We want to get our elbow a little bit away from our body, and we want to send outwards. But notice how she just straightens her arm straight down, and what that does is it prevents you to making good contact out in front, because the more that you swing in front, the more that paddle tip is going to go upwards. She did a good job of swinging the paddle tip outwards here though. And then same thing here. Notice how the arm is just kind of in an awkward position. We want to get the elbow away from the body a little bit more, because now we're going to be swinging up a little bit too much, and it's going to be tough to control this ball and not pop it up. But the fact that the paddle was a little bit too low and the arm was a little bit too close to the body, when we get that arm out a little bit further away from the body, see how jammed that looks? We're going to be able to send that arm out away. That way we can get the ball down at the feet of the serving team. And then this one, I think it was just really the same situation where the elbow is just tucked in too close to the body. Let me back this up just a little bit. All right. Yeah, see right here, see how the elbow is tucked in? It just limits the range of motion of the arm, and see how you're laying the wrist back so much? Instead, extend that arm. Go out and get it with the arm. Right now the paddle face is so open and then closes down at the last second and goes in the net. So extend that arm out there, go get that ball, get the elbow away from the body. Okay, we are here on incorrect read. All right, I think this is another good shot by Andy, but we'll see. Oh yeah, so I remember this shot very well. I completely misread this ball. All right, I think I lost my place here. Let me go back. Incorrect read. All right, let's open this back up. Okay, here we go. So, as you can tell, I see the return down the line. Automatically, I'm going to slide over and I'm going to pinch the middle. So you can see me kind of coming in here, and I'm assuming that Andy is going to go right down the line, and I'm looking for a poach. I'm looking for a forehand poach. I'm going to be sitting on this forehand, but instead Andy lays his wrist back and sends this ball, kind of half shanks it off the edge of his paddle as well. And I did not expect this at all coming into my body. I just didn't have any space. And I just swung to, keep from the ball hitting me right in the side. So, but good shot, good disguise there, Andy. I was not expecting that ball at all. I was expecting a forehand poach. Nice little redirect. All right, let's take a look at the importance in ending the point. Third shot error. Okay. Got some cryptic message here. Maybe I can figure this out. All right, a couple things here. A lot to unpack here on this point. All right, nice deep serve. I really like that deep serve. It forces me to get under the ball and send it deep. That way I've got plenty of time to get up to the net and join my partner. Okay, so if we look at the positions here, Andy slid way over here to make a forehand over in Shelley's court. So I think this was the point, is that when you've got two players that are off the court over here, basically playing singles together, got to be able to hit this spot. What happens is if you extend this point here, then just anything can happen. So if you get an opportunity like this, got to hit your spot, where my cursor is. Got to get this ball off the court. And maybe you don't hit a winner here, but you get the players spread out and start creating openings that we can drive our volleys into. Yeah, so we ended up losing the point mainly because we didn't capitalize on a court positioning error that the serving team made. All right, let's go to the next clip here. Fake poach created by the illusion of space. Okay, boy, I have some cryptic messages here. Okay, let's talk about this one. So here's a situation where my partner is off the court. I'm going to slide over and give the illusion that I've got middle, okay? But I know that my partner's going to be able to cover the cross. So if they go cross, it's okay. My partner's going to be able to cover. They're not going to be in the best position because they're still back, but that's okay. We'll survive. But by sliding over, then this player is wanting to go down the line because they see this giant opening. I start closing that gap down, and all of a sudden that gap, that target looks a little bit smaller, and you kind of force the miss. And that happens quite a bit. That's why I want my players to do a lot of fake poaching, a lot of moving, just to disrupt the rhythm of the opposing team. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, Leia, follow the drop in, use feet in transition. Nice serve, good return. Yeah, I think that's what we would want to talk about, that last little error. So everything was pretty neutral. We're over here fighting, trying to make our way in. Drop. Shelly's defending. Okay, here's the drop that I think was probably good enough to where we could come in on. So I start moving in, and I think that was the error is, Leia, if you could just get your feet moving a little bit, get up to this ball. You have to read and react based on my shot. Let me back up here a little bit. So this drop here, as you're watching me, you're going to watch, start watching to see if I'm on balance, if I'm inside the court. You can probably tell just from my body position right here that this is going to be a drop. Then you're going to start reading right off my paddle. Oh, that looks pretty good. And here's the thing. If this ball goes in the net and you charge forward, no harm, no foul, right? But if it turns out to be a really good drop and you don't move forward, then opportunity lost. And I think that's what happened here. It's a pretty good drop. Shelly's able to reach for it out of the air. So this would be a very attackable ball right here if we were in position. But we're moving to the ball with our upper body instead of our feet and just a little bit off balance. So we want to try to transition with our feet a little bit better and also recognize when our partner makes a good drop, get up there in front, because remember, we want to be in that stagger position. I can cover the cross court on the stagger. You lead me in, and you're going to be aggressive, and you're going to be hunting that middle ball. Okay, let's go here. All right. Andy Jones, excellent play, return, and backhand slam. Wow. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what's good about this. Yeah, I hit probably one of the best serves I've ever hit. Right down the tee here. Andy handled it well. Gets me into trouble and moves up, takes the backhand slam. So good job, Andy. Way to get that return back. I thought this was a pretty tough serve to get back. You handled it pretty well. You got me on the run with the angle volley and was able to put it down. So good job there. Converging middle and attacking must defend your something. Let's see what. Yeah, I think this was a case where we just created some space here. Went cross. I'm looking for my partner to get up in front of me. So we just start converging, right? We're basically playing 2-on-1 with Shelly here. I'm pinching off the middle here, looking for my partner to be aggressive. We're looking for that high ball. And then we finally get it, and there was just this giant gap here in the middle, able to put the ball down. So when you have a situation like that, when Players are really converging on you. Got to find the way to drop the ball down, try to get it back neutral, and try to get into a dink rally with them. So you notice how Andy was pinching over here, but then he recognized the high ball, moved back. But someone's got to cover that middle ball. That's where, that's going to be the easiest ball, the easiest target for us to hit. And we got to make sure we got that middle covered. All right, and okay, Andy Jones pinching middle when you dink cross. Let's take a look at this one. Serve, return, angle drop, another cross court drop. Yeah, so here's the situation. When you go back cross, you just got to have a little bit more lateral footwork to cover this middle ball. The cross court player basically has the cross, but here's the thing. If you were to slide over just a little bit, like have your left foot here, especially since you're right-handed, you still have the angle. The only shot that you don't have is some crazy angle here that I'm probably not going to go for. So sliding over just helps your partner cover this middle. So go back cross. And then here's the situation. You didn't quite just recover back. So when you send this ball cross, you want to push off on this right foot and then slide over to this middle. Otherwise, you put a lot of pressure on your opponent, not only covering the line, but also covering the cross court. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this one. Yeah, this was more of a technical observation here. Serve. Andy's going down the line. Shelly's doing a good job of sliding over, protecting her partner here. But as you can see, she lets the palm go up. So anytime that we extend that arm, we have to have wrist extension. That's to keep the paddle face a little bit flatter, because the more you're extended, the more you naturally have lift with your arm. But if you let your palm go up, then you're just going to pop the ball up just like this. So anytime you're well in front with your contact on your forehand side, just make sure that your wrist is laid back and extended to keep the paddle face from going up towards the sky. All right, so Nancy, backhand technique. Let's see what we've got going on here. All right, we got a new group here. We got Piper, Nancy, Eric, and Ulrich. Why is the quality so bad? Quality 720. That's why. All right, let's watch this in 1080. Okay, here we go. The old no. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so what we want to do on this backhand, or what I like to do, I like to turn a little bit sideways, okay? Especially if you've got a little space over here. And what that does is it allows me to more comfortably extend my arm and send the handle first. So in other words, I'm going to lead with my right shoulder. Does that make sense? So I'm going to lean in with my right shoulder a little bit. That's going to allow my arm to extend out, and then I'm going to be able to send that handle forward. What happens is you're starting to send the paddle tip when the paddle is basically parallel to the net. And what happens is that paddle tip gets in front of the handle, and then ultimately it's going to go straight down into the net. So we want to go handle first, and we want to pull that handle slightly upwards. So when the tip does come around, the tip's going to come up slightly, and that's going to keep the ball above the net. All right, let's see what else. All right, 2 more clips here. Oh no. Ulrich is completely off the screen. Okay. So he's serving from the way, I could see him way over here, but he's off the screen. Here, let me do this. Exit full screen. Let's put this in. Let's try theater mode. Oh yeah, that'll work. Okay. All right, he's going to slide over. Ulrich's just not in love with his backhand apparently, so he's going to slide over here to forehand. He's way over here in the gray area. Okay. All right, going cross, but the recovery was just a little slow getting back in the court. And we talk about this reverse stagger position. We got the reverse stagger again. Okay. So when you're the up player, you got to have the ball in front of you. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you create the reverse stagger. So now you got this giant hole right here. Eric's going to try to slide over and cover that. But then Piper's like, nope, that's going to be open over here. So I'm just going to drop where you aren't. So, but the big issue was just too much court coverage for Eric to cover. So after this, you got to really work hard to get the feet over, and also if you're going to be in front, it's probably going to be better to drop this ball in front of you, okay, so we don't create that reverse stagger situation. And I think it's a lot easier to see this reverse stagger when you're on camera here. So in other words, if you would have dropped in front of you, then anything cross, Eric's going to handle very easily. Of course, that opening still exists, but you should be able to come over and at least take that line away. All right, I think there's maybe one more. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so same exact situation. Ulrich, you're over here pretty far on this sideline. And then you're just kind of camping out in this corner. And I get it. You're going cross, and that's probably where the ball is going to come back to, cross. But I think when you slide up and you're right here on this sideline, it's just too much court to ask your partner to cover. So you need to come over and help him out. That way you guys are covering the court equally. So hopefully this was helpful. We've got some other video analysis that we're going to do, but this is it for right now. I'm Coach Kyle, and hey, we'll see you guys on the court.